Howdy, folks. I hope you're well. Welcome. Thank you for joining. So, episode 2 of the Racing Pigeon International TV show. Got a busy one today. Hope you can hear me all right. Let me know if you can. I've got somebody saying there's no sound, but there should be. Remember, I'm a little bit delayed. Great, cheers, Wally. Yeah, so we've got a lot going on this week. It's been a busy old weekend. First things first, as always, let's do some shouts and see who is on. So, Marshall from France, Wally, Pete, Carl Donnelly, Peter Bell, Jamie Walker, Robert Henkel, Liam Beach, Alan Dumbrow. We've got Marshall. Welcome, mate. Thank you for watching from France. Peter Bell. Welcome, Peter. Gary Tomlinson's on. Stephen O'Brien, thank you very much, mate. Great. Everybody can hear. So, all good. Excellent. So, yeah, we've got a lot going on. First things first is a bit of a recap of a few things, and we're going to go through some results. Here, just 1 second. So, yeah, lots going on, guys. So we've got 2 guests scheduled on, and we've got Vincent McConnell that's coming on talking more about one-off races, and from the other side of it a little bit, why people don't necessarily trust them. So we're going to be talking about that. And we also have John O'Brien, who I weirdly bumped into in a McDonald's in Dublin, completely out of the blue. And he's going to be talking about his promotional work that he's been doing over in Ireland. So this first things first, let's go. And we're going to talk about this week's results. I got some shout outs. As always, if you yourself have had a great result and you want to get a shout out on RPI TV, just message me, comment, whatever, and we'll get them out there. Or if you know someone that's done really well, you think they deserve a shout out as well. Let's do that and there. So first shout out is to Stephen O'Brien in the Shankill Dublin Club. He sent 9 birds himself, and he placed in the top 5, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Well done to you, Stephen. There's about 187 birds in there. He finally got his red card. Top 5, well done, mate. And he took some pool money as well, so well done on that, Stephen. The next one is the Dublin North East Racing Pigeon Club from Barley Cove. David Brandy posted these results, and David came in 3rd, 5th, and Mr. J. Hanley and Mother came in 1st. Well done to you, David Bradley, mate. Good result. Then we've got High Hills Homing Society from Melton Mowbray. Mr. and Mrs. Llewellyn won that. They got 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th. Thank you very much for submitting that result, Mark Thompson, to us. Thank you very much and congratulations. Mr. Alan Larkin. He is from Wilton Cross, flying from Wilton Cross, and he got his first Young Bird season win, flying really well actually, and he got his first there. He got 1st, 3rd. He did really well, 12th, 13th. Congratulations to you, Alan. Then in the Sarsfield Club, where the auction was from yesterday that we were covering, Sarsfield Club, congratulations to Derek Tierney. who came in first on that with a distance of 194 miles. The Sean Huntson family came in second. A. Colleen and Son came in third. Derek Tierney was fifth and sixth as well, really well there. So he had a good result there. Mark Knight had a stomper at the Hereford and District Flying Club. And he came in first there at the Hereford and District Flying Club. Well done to you, Mark. Robert McNally took the Kildunna District Racing Pigeon Club, and he took the first there, with Dent Brothers coming in second, Phil and Jamie Campbell coming in third, Dent Brothers again fourth, Carrick and Mahone coming in fifth. Well done to you guys. And lastly, we've got Tom Fagan, who's a new member of the Racing Pigeon International group, Facebook group, flying in from Barley Cove. And Mr. Thomas Fagan took first, second, third, and ninth with a really kick-ass velocity. 3 Belgian birds there. Be interesting to know what they were. Velocity, the winning of 1917. Well done to you, Tom. So there's the result. We've got a moment. Don't forget to hand in more of your results so that we can give the shout out and the recognition that they deserve. Right, I have one negative thing to talk about this week. The first things first, disclaimer. This is not talking about me, right? I am not talking about me in any way, shape, or form. 2 reasons. One, I've never been, and I've been in some situations in the past, I have never ever bullied before, and I will refuse to be bullied. And personally, if somebody tries to do it, it just makes me fight back more and what have you. So in this particular segment, a complete disclaimer, I'm not saying I'm being bullied in any way. I was as a kid, which is probably why I've got such an opinion about bullies now. But I am not talking about me or anything. I'm not saying any of my little incidents with haters and trolls or bullying or anything like that. The disclaimer, not talking about me in any way, shape, or form. But what I am talking about is the systemic bullying that's going on, some in the sport. Now, let's say there are so many great people, like I've said before, and I'll say again. I have met far more lovely, nice people since getting back into this sport than I have the not so nice people. And of course, the bullies are in the minority, but the harsh reality is the bullies affect people far and wide, and their actions can be just unbelievably harsh to people. I've got nearly 5,000 friends on Facebook now, and I very regularly see comments about bullying, comments about people looking to give up the sport because of bullying. I've been in direct contact with people that have been bullied, that have stopped racing pigeons, that have given up pigeons because they've been bullied. Now, what kind of one society and two sport do we live in where we should allow this to be accepted? Because I don't think we should. For the last 3 months, I've been seeing people talking about being bullied. Everything from physical bullying to verbal to all kinds of stuff, horrible stuff. Let's not forget, at the end of the day, most people involved in this sport want to race their birds or keep their birds or whatever it may be. At what point do we, as a group of people with a love of pigeons, allow this to be acceptable? What I'm saying is we shouldn't. Now, there's some pretty serious stuff going on around where people are being accused of being bullies. And as a result, people are leaving the sport. And I would say, I mean, I posted what the agenda was for this earlier, and I had somebody say, I don't know if they're on, I'll check. I'm glad you're bringing it up because it's one of the biggest problems we face. And I agree, it is one of the biggest problems we face. My advice to anybody being bullied is twofold. One, and I know this is a lot harder to actually do rather than say, you can only be bullied if you allow yourself to be bullied, right? And it says a lot more about the bully than it does you. Bullies have a major issue with their own self-worth, their own life, whatever it is going on there. If you are being bullied, talk to people. I, for one, and the people within Racing Pigeon International Group, and there's a lot of people out there that will help you and support you. I think it's something that seriously needs looking at. More than just on a local level, some of this stuff verges on being criminal, really. And there's a reality there that we need to address. We need a long, hard, good look at ourselves. The bullies in question of these people. I mean, I only spoke to an older lady last night. She's been racing pigeons for 40 years. Now, that's not directly a bullying situation within the sport. That's actually a neighbor issue, and there's other stuff going on. So it's a slightly different. But all the time I read a conversation yesterday, a Facebook thread that said, with the amount of crap and hassle and BS that goes on, I'm really thinking whether I should be in it. And what was more disturbing was that people below that had got out of the sport were saying, I don't miss all of that. I'm so glad I got rid of them. And my life's a lot better since. And it was genuinely depressing to read this thread. Genuinely depressing. It was horrible. And if you've got people that no longer keep racing pigeons or pigeons, well, I say and pigeons, but there's a thing there that part of this thread, there was a guy that turned to keeping roller birds. And he said there's such a lovely, welcoming group of people. Well, that's sad in itself that this guy's gone to keep roller pigeons and he's welcome with open arms and there's none of this rubbish. What is the core problem of the jealousy, backbiting, bullying, and all of that stuff and much more that goes on in this sport, that it actually is relatively quite rampant in the sport? Is it jealousy? Is it people not liking or having a winning mentality? Is it people not liking seeing people win? We need a good, hard look at ourselves on this. And we actively, as a community and as a group, need to support anybody that is being bullied or intimidated. And as a community, we need to stick up and help these people. And I, for one, I'm here to do it. Nobody will bully me, ever. I flatly refuse to be bullied. And I will help anybody that's having those issues. And I think if actually the reality is, if we're not careful, it could be as big as the bird of prey issue. So what I would finally close on that by saying is, don't let them bully you. There's lots of lovely people out there. Like I said earlier, I've met far more nice people than horrible, negative people since I started back. And if you love the birds like most people do that are in this situation, it's far better to talk to people, get help, and deal with it in the right way rather than bowing down to these horrible bullying idiots. Moving on. So we're going to talk about, I talk a lot about one-off races, all right? But actually, our next guest brought up an interesting question. And he said one of the questions you should be asking is, what's putting people off them? So I said, Vincent, I'm being a guest. So that's what he's going to be. So before I introduce Vincent, Vincent's been I think pretty much since I started, I can remember his name. Obviously, I didn't know him at the time, but I can remember his name popping up, and he's been tuning into what I've been doing since I started. And I've had some very good conversations with him. And so I'm going to introduce you now to Vincent. I'm going to bring him on now. I'm just going to unmute him. He'll be on in a minute. Vincent, how are you, mate?
Good evening, Mark.
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you hear me?
Great, excellent. Yeah, I'm just going to switch cameras on you, mate. I hope everybody else can hear as well. So, yeah, welcome, mate. So, as I just said, I don't know if you heard that preamble I did. We were chatting yesterday, and you brought up this interesting question or thing to ask. So, why don't you say?
I did. First thing, I'd like to echo exactly what you've just been talking about. For another session with a couple of other people, the bullying, it is way out of hand. You know, people don't like people that win. Also, the arrogance of winning. You know, everyone should be congratulated when they win. Obviously, that's for another session.
Well,
But that
no,
was a
it
big
doesn't
topic.
matter, mate. We can continue on with that a minute because I don't want to just be the one having the platform here, and I want other people's opinions on it. We'll catch some. What I forgot to do before introducing you, I'm still getting used to this presenter producer mentality, is look at people's comments on it. But one of the things I will say while I'm looking at that, and then perhaps you can give more thoughts on that while I look through the comments, is I used to go to the States a lot. I used to live there. And the big difference with the States, if you are a sports person that does extremely well, or if you're an entrepreneur, business person, or you have success of whatever form in your life over there, you are congratulated, patted on the back, and almost revered from a point of view of, like I've said before, that if I see anybody doing well, I want to figure out a way of either joining them or beating them, not think, what can I do to make sure they're not doing well? And I think that's a key issue, key difference.
No, I agree with you. The one person, you know, and let's not name too many people, but the one person that I admire is Mark Gilbert. Mark Gilbert, yes, I know Mark, he's a friend. I've got no agenda. He is a millionaire. So because he's a millionaire, does that give him the right to win? Because he's got a loft manager, does that give him the right to win? Does that give him the right to go out and buy the best birds? Or is it he's got a hobby that he loves, he puts a lot of time and effort in, he sources the best birds, and he puts his money where his mouth is? He enters a lot of pigeons to win.
I think people
if he does well, Mark, people will only give him the, oh well, he's got to win because he sent 100. He should win because he sent 100. Not he's done well. He won internationally. He won the international races.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, sorry, man, I'm just switching camera angles.
No, that's right. I mean, I'm not Mark. Mark is, you know, he's a lovely bloke, and I don't know if people actually know, racing pigeons is his second hobby. He loves greyhounds. He loves greyhounds. His best mate, Dean Charles, they're pigeon men. Secondly, to greyhounds. But if Mark has a good race, he's expected because he's wealthy. He's expected because he's put a big team in there. Everyone races to win and have fun, but every time he has a bad race or loses a lot of the rumours going around, and people are kind of happy that he's lost a lot of pigeons, which I think is pretty sad. You know,
that's the mentality right there. That's the mentality right there that is the issue. Look, I'll give you my opinion on this. Money makes things easier to do. Like, my whole other life, when I was wealthy, things were easier, right? It does make things easier. But The counter to that is money does not buy you success. Hard work buys you success. And it just so happens that actually, I think for money for Mark means he's doing on a bigger scale, right? But I would still say a person with normal means can still, with hard work and effort, and of course the right birds, but again, there's another argument that right birds don't have to cost money or big money. So Mark flies on a scale because of his situation, but at the same time, people that fly on a smaller scale can still beat him. This idea of expensive pigeons beat non-expensive pigeons was completely blown out of the water. Talked about it on Thursday's show. Talk about it again because it's relevant. It's completely blown out of the water by the winner of the Wild Atlantic Way one-off race. Now, there's a level playing field. All birds treated the same. You can't say, oh, he's got a better position or he feeds better or whatever. Completely level playing field. The winner of that race by 17 minutes was, with all due respect to Seamus Kinsella, who I've met, that wasn't a big money bird. That was birds that he's developed over a period of time. I saw the pedigree of it. You know, not good birds, but not big money birds in any way. The pedigree of that bird was not, prior to it winning the race, a bird you could say was perhaps worth more than 50 quid, being realistic. Obviously, yesterday it sold for 2,000 euros because it won the race. That right there goes to prove that you don't need big money birds to win races. You need hard work, dedication, a lot of work into them, and that winner's mentality. Now, I look at people like Mark Gilbert, and I look at other people like him, and I think I will figure a way of matching him or beating him. And that's the mentality we've not got.
There's two sides. One, what you've just said, yes, to beat him. Everyone loves to beat someone who's a big fish. But also, if it wasn't for the big senders like Mark and a few other people I know, they actually put the money up into the clubs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the
so
thing.
Instead of having
agree.
1,000 pigeons, you would probably only have 800, 700. Then the cost would go up. These big senders actually help every club they're in. Anyway, that's
no, but I agree.
That's enough for another argument.
But no, I agree, and this is what people don't get, and with regards to, you know, there's a low.
I've lost your picture, Mark. I don't know if you've got a picture on the main
I
screen.
I can still see, mate.
Oh, okay. I mean, you've brought me on tonight to talk about one-off racing.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
As you've done a disclaimer, I feel that I should do a disclaimer. I am not talking about any one-off race in particular. My mind might be set on one, but I am not talking about any particular race. We got talking one-off racing. I think is a step forward. Not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's a step forward to encourage people, to get the media interested, to get people interested in the money. The best one for me is the RPRA one, because I believe it's not fixed. Bit harsh words there. Jeremy's a top bloke, good pigeon fancier. I'm not saying the other ones are fixed. What I'm saying is past one-off races have had rumours and ifs and whats and whys to give doubt to see they might be fixed. Certain ones over time, you could predict the winners. You could predict that they would win. These one-off races are no longer up and running. The group of people that they were all friends, and all friends seem to win. What it's done is left a very bitter, sour taste in lots of fanciers' minds and their wallets, why they now won't enter. You've got some good one-off races coming through. The one that you're talking about over in Ireland, it's his first year. They're going to have teething problems. The one that's just gone with the BICC for the final race. Who Dares wins. There's a few of them around. These are the ones that are having to break into the market because it's been soured.
I
Now,
agree. I mean, like, Who Dares wins is in its 6th year now, and Gary was the first one off race guy I met. Categorically, and I speak same of the Hunt family that run the Wild Atlantic. There is zero risk ever of anything going on there. Gary is a stand-up man, well respected, and in its 5th year, going into 6th, tells you everything you need to know. There's probably a reason that these one-off races that you're talking about, and I believe perhaps further afield, there's some issue there still, but certainly the ones in that I've been to, I've got zero doubt that it's I know that, you know, I'm confident about it. But the bigger picture of this is, like you said, people have been soured, and it's getting that confidence back in. Now, there's some practical ways that can be done. But at the end of the day, you're not actually. There's a paradox here in that you're dealing with quite a lot of money at stake, and that's actually not regulated in any way. But then the further extension of that is getting the sport of pigeon racing to be recognised as a sport, because actually that would help a lot moving forward long term. I had somebody a couple of days ago pointing out, I'm not going to mention the person or the event in particular, pointing out, and again, not in UK, Ireland, not even in it wasn't actually a race I was aware of, right? So I'm aware of most of the big ones. So I'm not talking about any of them, but it was a smaller one. And he was saying, look at the ring number sequences. All the ring numbers was from the same group, but they weren't from the same flyer. You know? So
yeah.
there's a lot.
What we spoke about earlier is open it up for questions. Obviously, I can't see anyone bringing up any questions. That how would people feel the trust? You know, the one we discussed was the Portugal one from last year. At the last minute, that's just my wife in the background doing that stuff. That's right. I mean, the Portugal race, they changed the prize money just as the pigeons have gone up. You had, the word was sat there not last year, sorry, not last year, the year before. You sat there waiting, and everyone's getting told that the pigeons had gone up at 9 o'clock, and it was liberated at 9 and such a. And then a little while later, they went, "Oh no, the pigeons have gone up at 8. It's gone up at a different time." It's being transparent when you've got the liberation.
Why did the prize money change at the last minute?
You'd have to ask the organisers that was something that, I mean, I was with two groups of people that both had lots of pigeons in. The year before they won a car. They were expecting to do well. They liked the one-off racing, and they just left, and they know the bloke that runs it. It left a sour taste in their mouth. So instead of putting in, I think it's 15 pigeons this year, they put in 4. They've got this impression that it doesn't smell right, it doesn't sit right. Not saying that about the race, I mean, that's not bad mouth any particular race. What I'm saying is these races make mistakes. They don't help themselves. If you're going to have a liberation, everyone's got a video camera. If you can't afford a video camera, an iPhone or an Android, don't hold the race. If you can't get an ETS pad to work, you've got a problem. There should always be a fail-safe everything. Every liberation, in my view, should be broadcast live. You know what I mean?
Right.
On Facebook the other day, we had a gentleman. He was near enough saying there's cheating going on in his fed. Blatantly saying it, because it's impossible that those people will win against the wind. It's impossible. And his words were, if you showed deliberation, we could all see it. We could all, this is the year of social media. Everyone can watch Liberation. There's no ifs and whats and buts. Same with one love racing. They should be showing you basically the Liberation, then onto the tracks, you know. Because if.
Sorry, mate, go on.
Sorry, yeah. You leave yourself open to people started spreading rumours. The rumour machine's bad enough anyway when people don't win and they've had a few beers. But if you leave yourself open to rumours, rumours then start to be spread into half truths. Half truths are, oh, well, you know, this is how it went because it was fixed. This where people that, you know, money doesn't come easy to everybody. So to put a couple of pigeons into these big races, all of a sudden you're hearing bad things. Your pigeon hasn't done that well. You're not going to send next year. But if you know everything's great, like I won't harp on about it, but the RPRA one is, for me, is a great opportunity of fairness. The only problem you have is with one off racing, the numbers lost are quite extreme, but that's the name of the game. Some people's argument, some other people's argument is the losses are too much. So, you know, and there's another conversation you could have, but it's everything.
Sorry, mate, sorry. It's my production style.
Sorry, I got a bit of feedback.
I'm trying to find comments that I've missed. Sorry, I'm ready for the comments. Go on, mate.
No, it's just that if you leave yourself open, you're going to get shot down.
I agree. It needs transparency. Like, I'm not going to bore people, but my other business is cryptocurrency, which I'm not talking about. But the technology that backs that is something called blockchain. And blockchain is ideal for pigeon racing because it's completely transparent. It's trustless. And it's a hell of a long-term thing, but it's something I'm looking into. Like, how could you implement that in races where it's 100% transparent? One-off races, club-fed races, but perhaps digress for tonight. But I agree. So let's read some comments on what we're talking about and get people's feedback. I'm gonna skip, guys, the comments regarding the other topic, and I will come back to that. Let's just deal with this. Let's deal with this. So Andrew Walton says, I would love to send to a one-off race, but just can't afford it. So, I mean, that's a fundamental issue as to why people are put off by them. What I would say there is two things, Andrew. It's a definite valid thing.
They're not all the same price, Mark. There are, I mean, there's your expensive ones, and then there's not so expensive ones.
No, but even, I mean, what's the cheapest one you know of? How much is the RPRA one, mate?
I think that's £110 a pigeon.
Yeah, so that's one of the cheaper ones, but that's still. And is there a minimum?
Quite a bit of money. Yeah.
Is there a minimum on how many birds you have to send a kit? You have to send a team to that.
Certain ones you have to send a team. The RPRA one, you can send one pigeon.
Okay, so let's take the RPRA one as an example, right? So that's the relatively low cost one, but still 110 quid is something that, as a chunk of money, some people cannot afford. Now, two things here, and this is not self-promotion. This is a thing I'm looking to implement to help people exactly for this reason. And so, well, before that, I know for a fact there will be one loft race coming out for next year that will be offering a payment plan publicly to anybody that wants it. Right? That's all I can say for now.
That's a step forward.
But for that exact reason, because I've been talking about it to the organizer, and you heard it here first, but I'm not telling you whose race it is because it'll be announced. There will be.
Do they drink Guinness?
No. Well, I don't know if he does, but not who you're thinking. So there will be a payment plan coming out specifically for this reason, so that people can pay in more, you know, a tenner a week or whatever, to get birds in. So that's the first thing that I'll say. And I think this evolution of John, welcome on, mate. I'll bring you on in a bit, mate. You'll still be able to hear what's going on. So our next guest has arrived. So that's something, and the whole evolution of One Love Racing will change. These things, I remember One Love Races when it was South Africa's first year. Look where we are now. We've come leaps and bounds, but can you imagine what it's going to be like?
Let's not talk about the South African one too much, because that was very dodgy for the first couple of years.
Well, I'm only using it as a point of reference.
I know. Hey, Mark, I'm teasing you. This proves to people that me and you can have a little joke as well. You know what I mean? So
the first year, I remember that was years ago. So definitely, definitely, there'll be things to make it easy for people. The second thing I want to see happen, and I'm going to do it myself. I'm not promising when, but I'm definitely going to do it. Is there needs to be, and I know we've got the Four Nations guys on here, and they everybody says good things about them, and that's the kind of thing, you know, they're already doing. But I'm going to launch a syndicate website that anybody can come to. They can pick. I mean, it'll take time to get everything on, but they will be able to come to and pick a syndicate. There'll be two. There's two types, and there's a couple of reasons for wanting to do this. One is this affordability issue and getting as many people involved, flyers involved in it as possible. John, if you're watching, I've lost you, mate. I've lost you, feed. Getting as many people involved as possible that can't afford their own team or their own bird. But the reason I'm doing it is because I want to get as many non-flyers involved. So there will be two types of syndicate, you know, X, Y, Z, One Love Race. Right, this is the syndicate page for flyers who are putting their own birds in. This is a syndicate page for non-flyers who, as part of the whole thing, there's birds entered for you from various people. And then there's different types of syndicate. So there's, you know, let's say a 3-bird syndicate at 500 quid as an example of Gary's race. Now, some people would think, yeah, I can justify 50 quid to be part of a syndicate that's got 3 birds in it. Some people wouldn't want to be part of a 10 person syndicate for 3 birds, and they'd want 3 or whatever. There'll be various different levels. The idea being is that anybody, for say, starting at 25 quid, can have a little piece and a little interest of the action of what's going on in these different races. It will offer multiple reputable races. It will offer multiple different options. That's what I'm planning. Combine that with allowing people to pay before the birds. I mean, it will be before birds are entered, but between the close of a race and the start of another one, you'll be able to say, send, you know, a tenner a week or whatever it is. And that'll make it easier. So, Andrew, it's a valid point, but we are on things to counter that over a period of time. Pete Berry is a massive fan of One Love Races, and again, you run the Four Nations Syndicate. Exactly what I'm talking about.
And to be fair, Mark, Pete does a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard good things about it, and what he's doing, I want to be able to offer. You know, I mean, I've got this, well, non-flyers and others, you know, maybe, like I said, I want for starting at 20 people to be able to have, you know, a chance of getting involved. Marcel says,
if you speak to Pete and get his concept of how he's doing it and roll that out, I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised on how many people take you up on the offer.
I will do. I speak to Pete all the time because he's a moderator on the group, so I will. Morris O'Donnell says all the dodgy one-off races in the past are now finished. Yeah, I think all the ones we know about, but I think there's some more smaller ones.
There's some that leave themselves open. Not UK ones, not
No,
Irish.
no.
These are the abroad ones.
Pete Berry says, I've lost 100% trust and some have lost faith in it. So Andrew Wharton totally agrees. William Dean says it's wide open when it comes to big money.
As in, it's wide open to abuse.
Yeah. Morris O'Donnell says this is an important one for you to address, Vincent. The prize money in the Algarve never changed, so retract your comment.
I will say sorry if I'm wrong. I'm not last year, the year before, because I was out there not last year, the year before. I will phone someone and check, and we can clarify for your next show. If I am wrong, then I do apologise. But I do remember.
Well, I'm covering it. I'm covering it, and I'm up for you figuring that. And let's see. Let's leave it at that.
No, 100%. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But
right,
I wouldn't have this in me yet if I thought I was wrong.
Fair enough. Tom Del Martino says, in this day and age, transparency should be easy. It should be. I agree.
He's 100% right. With media, iPhones, cameras, everything should be seen, shown, no hidden agendas, and everything transparent.
Peter Bell says he put 6 birds in a one-off race for €740 in the Derby Mosparamus. 100 euros per pigeon, like Wayne Conway's just said in the Derby Mosparamus. Andrew Bracken says, fair play, mate. When does that start? I assume you're talking about the syndicate thing. Don't know yet. Got a lot of work to do on it. It's because it's something that needs custom doing. So don't know, Anthony. Keep up to date, mate. Andrew Beach seems to think it's a good idea. Wooly Lennox thinks it's a good idea as well.
Will you, Mark, just obviously tapping you up, will you, the pigeons that you get to enter these races, will you be getting them from X, Y, and Z free so that you can publicise them if it wins?
Don't know yet. I haven't figured it out, mate.
As a two-sided coin, they give you a top pigeon.
Yeah.
For free.
I would like to think so.
Just thinking along those lines out loud.
Yeah, I mean, the publicity they will get would be beneficial. There may be a nominal cost to cover, their costs of feeding away. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet, mate. But lots to figure out. Morris has come back and said you are wrong, but again, let's leave that at that. And
Morris, if I'm wrong, I do apologise. I will get my facts, and like we said, next time I will come and I'll either apologise or we can talk about it.
Okay. Chris Davis wants to give out a shout out to Trixie. Shout out to Trixie, Chris Davis and Trixie. I don't know who Trixie is, but shout out to you. So
how do we make it transparent that more people will join in, Mark?
Give me 1 second. John, you're still trying to get on. The app keeps stopping for you. I have seen you come in about 3 times, John. Try one more time for me, please, using that link, mate. That's our other guest. Barry says the Four Nations. Mark Lyford is joining the Four Nations Syndicate next year. Oh, right. All right, Pete. Right. I don't know yet, because the reality is when you're dealing, like I said, with something unregulated, when you're dealing with something that isn't actually officially, from a government point of view, recognized as a sport. Long term, I know the answer, because it's the technology I've been working with for the last 6.5 years in my other business. But to actually get that implemented and work with the technology companies out there, I don't know. It needs thought, but what it needs is, in the short term, it needs the good, reputable people doing absolutely as much as they can, and being an open book and open. Anybody can turn up to Gary's, as long as it's not in the depths of night, and go and see what's going on. And the same with Sean Hunt's race. It needs that mentality to at least start, and no closed books and stuff. So yeah, you know, it's an issue that needs working out, but ultimately it will be worked out. And the other thing is numbers decide. If there are any questions, then you will, you know, there's a reason why some of the one-off races are no longer in existence. But it's a hard one, but it needs figuring out. John O'Brien says, get Morris on. He's a treasurer. I will do. Morris can be on. Okay. Well, look, Morris, you say it's the negative comment to give one-off name racing a bad name. Listen, you know my thoughts on one-off racing. Vincent's a fan of them as well, right?
Just for the record, I've entered loads. I am still entering loads, so I am a fan of one-off racing. Even the ones going back a little while that I believe were dodgy, I was in those as well. So it's not okay. That I'm bad-mouthing any particular.
I'm a fan. Forward. I'm a fan. You're a fan. It was an objective comment. The actual agenda of the show thing was what puts people off one-off races, right? Correct. And ultimately, there are an element of people that have had questionable or dodgy experiences in past one-off races, and that's a valid point. That's not pointing the finger at any. Let's get that specific fact addressed that came up in conversation. And that's it. But that is an issue that do it. So we've got out of this conversation at the moment, we've got two things. We've got the costs of entering, and we've got questions about validity. Not necessarily the ones we're talking about, the ones I'm involved with. I wouldn't be involved in them if I had any question. I'm covering both Portugal races next month. I'm covering the RPRA one in a couple of weeks. I'm covering Gary's on Sunday. So let's leave it at that. The two main things are transparency and trust as an answer to the question, and the cost of entering. I'd like to think the cost of entering and the different things that we talked about with regards to that over a period of time can be dealt with. The trust and transparency one is ultimately, like all of the one-off races that happen in the UK and Ireland and are held by relatively well-known people and therefore trusted people. And we've just got to, you know, time will tell, but there will be over time technology to help this situation more. So, yeah. Vincent, thank you for being on, mate.
Not a problem, Mark.
And taking the time to do it. And let's keep in touch. And thank you for being a part of it, mate. Much appreciated.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thanks very much for having me on.
No worries, mate. Right. So, so we've got that going. And again, this show, you know, we're 50 minutes in. We've got through half of the agenda yet. I am neutral on most things. I am a massive fan of one-off racing. I personally think it's a massive part of the future of this sport. But people have opinions, and if people state something and it's not right, we figure out if it's not right. You know, anybody is welcome to come on this show. Anybody. Let's catch up some comments and then we'll see. Right, so John, I can't see or hear you, mate. I can see you're in, but I can't see or hear you. So we may have to do this another way or have you in on Thursday and figure it out between us and run a test. Morris O'Donnell is going to come on and talk about one-off racing. I'm actually planning to do an interview with Morris and Carl Donnelly down in Portugal, right? And the reason I'm not having Morris on yet is because I'm going to get the interview done, put that out, and then as a follow-up to that, we're going to have Morris on the show talking more about things. And I know, Jason, that Morris tops one-off race birds for fun. I agree. No, we're not arguing. I agree, Andrew. It is what it is. But like I said, anybody's welcome on this show. Even my haters are welcome, because wouldn't that be fun? Pete, stop bloody pushing your Four Nations syndicate all the time. I'm joking. Pete says, Vinny, well done. Liam Beach, what's a good luck one race to enter? I will give you my opinion of ones I personally know, and I will add other ones to them once I've been there. Like I said, I'm covering both races in Portugal. I know lots of people that do. This answers a lot. Gary Tomlinson and Sean Hunt, who run their own One Love races, have entered birds in Portugal before. I don't know if Gary's got them in this year, but Sean Hunt and Maurice O'Donnell got birds in both Portugal races. That says a lot for me. To answer your question further, Liam, I am working with the RPRA one I'm going to be covering the final. I'm doing the hotspot race tomorrow. I haven't been down there yet, but nobody's got a bad word to say about it. And from my personal experience working with Gary Tomlinson and Sean Hunt, the World Atlantic Way race in Dublin, Ireland, and the Who Dares Wins race near to me up in Matlock are excellent one-off races, in my humble opinion. And they will be races that this syndicate idea I talked about, I will be sorting so people can get into syndicates there. The trouble, John, you got is you can't use your laptop. I will talk to you. Let's cancel you as a guest today, mate, and we'll try and figure it out on Thursday. Yeah, Stephen Morris is one of the most consistent one-off racers in Europe. Marshall thinks a good one-off race is Algarve Golden Race in Portugal. Morris, you're coming on as a guest. Like I said, I've told people why not yet, but after Portugal. John O'Brien said a friend of Andy Quirk's was at the auction and he's 15, young, enthusiastic, good, and get on the show sometimes. Great, I will be. John, if you can tell me more about who he is, I'll speak to Andy as well. Yeah, I can get Alexander there. I don't know how it'll be about that, but we'll see. Kevin Bottle says one-off racing seems to attract the best of certain types of pigeon, ideally sprint middle distance. Yeah, I mean, they're a smaller pigeon. That's what seems to happen. That's what seems to be the trend. Okay, so I hope we covered that. So like I said, to summarize, the general from this at the moment is cost of entry and transparency. Like I said, transparency and trust, longer term thing, but it will be figured. Long term, it will be figured. And I have no doubt the one-off race is going on at the moment, 100% podcast. Like I said, the one-off races I've been covering, anybody can go and turn up. Obviously, they can't just turn up at the middle of the night, but they can turn up. That's how these guys operate, and that's how it should be. And I'm working on the syndicate thing, but that will be nowhere near yet. It'll be next year, early next year, all being well. I need more help, and I need to clone myself, and then maybe we can get stuff done quicker, and I need to clone a programmer as well. But that's another story altogether. So I'm going to go back through some of the comments about bullying now, just to cover that, because I did make the mistake of not getting those comments published before I brought Vincent on. So that's what we're going to do quickly now. Andrew Walton says, they're all cowards. They are. A bully is a certain type of person. They're a certain type of person. Speaking to people is the hardest thing to do. Shows vulnerability. Sally Ann Bench. I agree, but actually it is hard for people to do, and showing a vulnerability. But actually it is one of the best things you can do. Don Petrov says, is criticism considered bullying? I have my own thoughts. No, I don't think criticism is considered bullying. I'm talking about bullying to a level where people feel they have no choice but to give up racing pigeons or stop racing. So no, criticism is not bullying. I think we live in a world now where actually people have lost the art of debate and being able to take criticism. Richard Zonekeen says it happens everywhere and it's horrible and needs to stop. I completely agree. Peter Dempsey. Now, Peter's an interesting one because I've been speaking to Peter about this. So true. I've seen the bullying firsthand. Thank you for highlighting this problem. Threatens people's very lives, and it's beyond a joke. David Penrose says it's jealousy. Good pigeon men can't get in some clubs because they're good flyers, and it's a lot of jealousy, and that's why club members leave clubs to form new ones. Completely agree, Gaz Pigeonhole. This is this winner's mentality issue, isn't it? Like clubs changing distances and boundaries to stop good flyers coming in. You know, like I said, let them in. Figure a way of beating them, or are you lazy? You know, as a rhetorical question, I'm not talking at you guys. Yeah, it's terrible. Which leads me on to one of my other agenda things later on about clubs and stuff. Marshall says this is a worldwide problem. Jealousy is everywhere, especially when it's against good pigeon men. So yeah, and going back to our thing about pigeons and pedigrees and stuff, pedigrees don't fly. Absolutely. And Chris David, Mark's the top man regarding to Mark Gilbert. He wasn't talking about me. So yeah, that's where we're at in the comments. Let's just see what else he's got going on, and then we'll crack on. John O'Brien, massive shout out to Aaron and Kane. How do you pronounce his name? Is it Kane? His brother. I must know. I haven't actually spoken to him. It's really bad of me that I don't. But Aaron and his brother for the coverage of the auction on Sunday, absolute dinger. John O'Brien says, I agree. It was good. People like being able to see the individual birds. We'll talk about that in a while. Marshall Dial's having a private conversation with people on the chat about his results. Okay, so Leslie Craven says one off racing is the future. Club racing is okay for training. My opinion is that's all we're happy to do. One off racing does not just attract sprint and middle pigeons. To be honest, half of these new strains mean nothing to me. Okay, right. So we've caught up on comments. So next thing we got to talk about is sorry guys, 1 second. So our other guest, unfortunately, John O'Brien, who's been commenting, but he can't get on. So I'm going to try and figure that out and get him on for Thursday. Talking about guests, we've got John Gent coming on from Leicester, not far away from me. He's coming on next Monday's show, talking more about one-off races. Okay, so next on the agenda, roller pigeons. Are we missing something here? Right, so I have been lucky enough to be speaking with Alex McNally, who's in Ireland, and weirdly just tried to call me. I don't know if he was trying to get on the show. In fact, what I'll try and do is just quickly make sure he wasn't trying to get on thinking he could do it via Facebook. I'm going to send him this link just in case he can. Right, so I love pretty much all kinds of pigeons, right? And I've never kept, I tell a lie, I kept some Iranian high flyers in 2016 from a good friend of mine, one of the best in the country for Iranian high flyers, is Rainey himself. Long story, doesn't matter. And I've been speaking to Robbie over there in Ireland, and he's one of the top roller guys in Ireland. He's got certificates all over his wall, and it's great. And I said that I fancy keeping a kit. I've been talking to him about it. It fascinates me. The roller pigeons, the tipplers, the tumblers, the roller pigeons fascinate me. I think they're amazing little birds, and I'm going to have a kit of them. Kit 20 you keep. And so why is this relevant to what we're talking about? There is a big movement or idea that there needs to be a movement to get people interested in racing pigeons and pigeons. The harsh reality of racing pigeons is it's bloody expensive. And that's countered by the initial interest and the enthusiasm and the spark to keep going, even if it becomes a bit more expensive than people thought or involved. The question is, with roller pigeons, are we missing something here? And I'm not going to talk about it too in depth because I want to get Robbie on at some point as a guest. But the thing with roller pigeons is they take up a lot less space. A kit of 20 in. Robbie is on. Let's see if we can see him. He is. I'm going to bring Robbie on. That worked. So, Robbie, welcome, mate. Yeah, mate. So what I was just saying is this: are we missing a trick? Getting new people interested in pigeons by introducing them to rollers. They only take a relatively small space, 4 foot by 3 foot pen, 20 in. The cost of them is considerably less than starting with racing pigeons, and the cost to maintain them. And the idea that people can fly them out there, see them in their thing, and they can compete. There's a competition element, which I only learnt from you properly in the last week or so. So that's the question. Can we use rollers to, one, get more people keeping rollers, and two, over a period of time, get them interested in other types like the racing and what have you? You're one of the, I've subsequently found out you're one of the top roller men in Ireland.
Yeah, well, they're hard breed to keep as well, in a sense, to get, competitive in the end, but realistic, they're easy enough to home. You can learn a lot more by them regards feeding and stuff, where guys that send racing pigeons to a race, you've got the peregrine will take them, you've got different winds, wires, etc. that'll hit them. And next of all, you don't know if it's a good bird or not. It could be in the lead there and a peregrine will take it or something like that. Let's say, for instance, with a roller, you'll know what happens, because if you're watching them, you learn by your birds, and stuff, yeah.
So just tell us a bit more about it. I know you've told me this, but I want to, for the show purposes, I want you to tell people the basics of it, right? So a kit is 20.
From 15 to 20 birds, minimum 15, maximum 20. What would it be? You can fly out in between that, So if you fly 15, you can't have any birds out of kit, basically, to get a mark. Basically, so like 15 to 20, if you fly 15, one bird comes out of the bunch and flies the opposite way or whatever, there's no mark. No same mark. It's like you need to have a minimum of 5 birds roll at one time, and it's like literally like they're flying along and they go like together. Like it's not like 5 go 3 and 2 and stuff like that. It has to be exact same split second time. If you're flying 16 up to 20, you can have one bird out of kit and still be marked. But if you have 2 birds out, again, then points don't count. Generally, the birds you've got in the World Cup rules, you have 5 minutes to, when you liberate the pigeons, let them out of the loft or the kit box, whatever it may be. You have 5 minutes to tell the judge, they're on the clock, and then the judge them for 20 minutes. That's what the time is set. But if they land, they have to fly for a minimum of 15 minutes. But if they land before that, you're disqualified. There's loads of different bits of rules. But basically, you must get the pigeons to fly as a bunch.
There's rules there. I mean, it is a competitive thing. And I think it's a great way, potentially, of getting new people, younger people, new people interested. Like I said, you've offered to kindly set me up with some birds. I'm looking out for a kit box. I'm going to get that. And they're easy to home. Like I said to you, I'm looking at potentially moving house. You said they'd be easy enough to home. And I think we're missing a trick here. I think we need to look at, as part of the PSF Foundation, which is, designed for a reason to be the Pigeon Sport Foundation, not the racing pigeon sport. The sport of pigeons generally we're looking to push. And I think the cost of setting up,
it would be a lot easier.
Yeah,
young guys to with racing pigeons, it's so expensive. There's and I think young guys can learn a lot more about pigeons by exactly like using rollers, flying them. A lot of people around the world and stuff recommend just using wheat, to fly them and they get the best performance of them. But it's not. You need to. I'm under the illusion that from when they come out of nest to when they're yearlings, basically, they go on breed and wean and stuff like that. Now we split feed. Like there is a bit of a science to it to get more out of birds. I use quarter wheat, quarter red dairy, quarter barley, and quarter maple peas, depending on how the birds are flying and stuff, you know. But like, relatively speaking, like you just need, half can of breed and wean, half can of wheat per 20 birds, and they'll do fine on it, you know. It would be good for young guys to.
Oh, what I think it does a lot is it teaches younger people and anybody that's never kept birds before basic husbandry. They're a lot easier, they're low cost, and certainly it's something I'm going to discuss with regards to Pigeon Sport Future Foundation about can we start implementing people being able to keep rollers. They can keep racers straight away, of course, but can we get this roller program in?
Okay.
Because I think we're missing a trick. I think it's a great way. And like I said earlier, with regards to the issue of bullying, not that we want to be negative all the time, because we're not. Like I said, 9% of people in all of this sport are great people and lovely people. But certainly some of the comments I was reading yesterday about roller people, there's none of that rubbish, really, I'm sure there's a bit of...
There's always you've got people are people, but generally it's I think, Mark, to be honest with you, the whole thing with the rollers, and like it's competitive in regards, like there's the World Cup. If anyone wants the roller world, I'll get the link and send it on to Mark, and if they want to go on and have a look, and you can see past results and stuff like that. But like it's everywhere. It's like America.
Well, send it on to me, but also post it in the Facebook group, mate, if you would, because what I want to do there is, Robbie's kindly offered to help me with it, and like I said, I've got my goals with regards to one-off races and studs and all this stuff, but I'm dead keen to see what this is all about, and I'm going to start keeping a kit myself. And I
think Mark, to be honest, sorry for cutting across, but I think the whole lot of it is. Like I came second in the world in 2015 and that and stuff, and but I got a trophy, placard, and like that was my goal, that's what I liked. And but if there was money in it, like there's a judge, actually it was John Wallace from, he's from Middlesbrough. He's got the birds about probably 50 years or something, or whatever. I'm not 100% sure, but he has them a long time and he's kind of well recognised, But like he judged it, I came second, got wind and stuff and whatever, I can bring out excuses for why they didn't win it, but there was no money. It was just a plaque I got at the final, But
that meant a hell of a lot to you.
Yeah, I think maybe if we're bringing young guys into even the likes of racers, should be like a lesser fee, okay? They probably race in the same races, but there's no money at the end of it. They do it for the passion of the actual boards. Where I think I hear a lot of even like it's been on the radio stations and stuff about some of these birds making, £1 million and stuff like that, and like it puts people out of the, young. I think if people want to keep them, they need to keep them for at first because they want to keep them, not because there's money attached to it.
I agree, but there's two sides to it. There's the people that want to keep them and fly. Like I've said before, I love seeing birds fly around. Simple as that. That's one of my basic pleasures. But there's the other side of it where it's evolving to be, there's elements of it like one-off racing is about the money. And you know what? Both worlds can coexist very nicely. It doesn't have to be either or. But what I love about the roller stuff is it's relatively cheap to get started. It's something I'm passionate about looking at. Can we get the PSF rolling out a roller program, excuse the pun, in that, to be able to help people getting going, and that's what I want to do. So Robbie is, whether he likes it or not, going to be our roller man now in the group, and he's going to be the guy helping me, and then ultimately helping others as well. Robbie, thank you for coming in, mate. It's been really good. Thank you for the short notice as well. And I'll speak to you soon, mate.
I just downloaded an app and just went into open link. I was like, I know you had asked me, but I was like, a little bit off. But yeah, cool. Yeah. Does that, man?
Cheers, Robbie.
No problem, Mark. Thanks, pal. Thanks.
Bye. So there we go. Maybe we're missing a trick. Maybe it's something we need to look into integrating. Let's catch up with some comments and then we'll crack on through the rest of the show. This show is meant to be an hour. I think I got to change the expectation there. Maybe it'll become an hour, but it's always, well, this is the second one and it's going over an hour. So Stephen O'Brien, pronounced Keen. Thank you for correcting my terrible Irish name pronunciation. Now I know. Back to the bullying. David Penrose says anybody who is bullied should be able to put a grievance in, including getting a membership. Completely agree. John O'Brien, how do we get the sport mainstream media and more? John, when we get you on as a guest, we will discuss that in detail. Use some money in the unions to get slots on TV. Not going to happen, Stephen. Don't think it will happen. It needs as private individuals to be able to get that kind of thing done. I definitely want to figure a way of getting on TV about this, personally. Not necessarily for the fame or any of that stuff, but I think there are ways of getting on mainstream media. The reason I say that, from my point of view, is I do know a few people in that game, so hopefully that will happen one day. Morris said Donald Mark is our best chance. I think you're talking about me, maybe, don't know. Stephen O'Brien, the unions like to keep the money for their own expenses, Morris says. Yeah, I would tend to agree. The RPRA is sitting on just short of £1 million. What's it doing with it? John O'Brien, getting onto Irish TV is not that hard. We just have to bring proposals on documentary short films and the production company that creates them. I watched an 8-minute short documentary on BBC 3 2 days ago about a chicken breeder and shower. Fascinating thing. Very many similarities to the Pigeon thing. I've kept the show because I want to go through the credits and see the commissioning editor and what have you for the BBC work. Can you do a loft visit to see a roller event in action? You bet, Chris. I will, for sure, mate. I will sort it. Stephen O'Brien, there's your answer. Maybe Andy Quirk, with his contacts at RTE, could provide some slots. Yeah, I'm due to speak to Andy at some point soon, so I will. John O'Brien, the unions need to be motivated to do more that comes from the members putting through motions at AGM. Chris Davies, he answered what he feeds them. Well, we'll get some more specifics on what he feeds them. There's plenty of documentaries available that can be supplied on YouTube. So, yeah, I agree, Stephen. Rollers and high flyers are a good pigeon sport to learn the basis of breeding sports birds. I completely agree, Marshall. Is there a difference between rollers, tipplers, and tumblers? Yes, there are. They all do different things. That's my limited knowledge, Sally Ann. Thank you for joining RacingPigeonNetwork.com earlier. Speaking of which, there's some changes happening on that site, but we'll talk about it. Marshall says they had original rollers and Budapest high flyers before getting involved in pigeon racing. Like I said, I think it's a great way. John O'Brien, you need to find out what RTI are looking for through their website when you make a proposal and how you can fit pigeons into that program. Marshall says this is a cheap solution. Go back to the rollers for young people to start with thought pigeons. I agree. I think we need to jump on it and get going with it. And I'm looking at, can we integrate that through the new PSF Foundation that's going to be launching properly very soon. Get a new slot on the end of programs. I agree, Stephen. Okay, so moving on to see what else we can we've got going on. So we talked about roller pigeons. It's something Robbie's just said thanks for that. He was a bit taken back and he was nervous. Mate, you didn't seem nervous and you did great. Robbie, thank you very much for coming on as a short notice guest to the show, mate. Right, so here we go. This is the main last thing we're talking about. I've got a few other bits to talk about, but this is the main last thing. I was having a conversation in our Racing Pigeon International group last night. We were talking about one-off races, no surprise there. And Sid posted, and I had a conversation with him. And I've known Sid because he picked me up from the airport when I flew into Belfast. I've known him for a few months now. And Sid said he didn't like the word revolution. I use the word revolution a lot. And he liked the word change. And I said, with all due respect, Sid, I think revolution is exactly what we need. Change is not strong enough. Yes, of course, revolution involves change, but revolution is what we need. We need a bloody revolution in this sport. And the question then went on to say, well, you know, how and why would you lead that up? How would that actually how would that actually happen? It isn't a simple question to answer. And it's probably a topic for an entire show. But if you look at everything that's going on and the decline in membership and all of this stuff we talk about, and then you combine it with the really good elements of the sport that we've got, something radical has to happen. Talk about one-off races a lot. I think that's a big part of how it can happen, but it's not for everyone. And like I said before, I think one-off races are a way of getting people interested in racing pigeons, and then people start breeding their own for one-off races, and then eventually you'll get a portion of people that will race themselves. Like I've also said, just looking to get people keeping birds in their own back garden and then starting to race, you are not going to get in the UK and Ireland the sheer numbers of new people you need to make that happen. I've also said before, if you look at certain Eastern European countries, the sheer mass of people racing is amazing. I think it needs an entirely new way of thinking, and it does need a revolutionary way of thinking. Simple things like I'm doing here are a start, but it needs a mass of people to help. What I'm personally looking to do with Racing Pigeon International is revolutionize the sport, little bit by little. And in retrospect, because we're an hour and 20 into this, I think I'll come up with a better verbiage on my thoughts, plans, and ideas and get you guys involved in that. So, but it does need a revolution. I don't think change is enough. It needs a revolution. At the end of the day, we have an amazing sport here with little birds that fly hundreds of miles against all the odds. It needs a revolution from the bird of prey issue. It needs a revolution from the bullying and the crap that happens. It needs a revolution in thinking. It needs a revolution to make it more mainstream friendly. And two types of racing can coexist. They can. People that want to keep birds in their own back garden and fly for their own pleasure and for the fact of getting the first prize card eventually, compared to people that all the way through to people that want to race for big money and everything in between. There's absolutely no reason why this stuff can't coexist. It's not either or. I will talk more about revolution, what I think will be done at a later date, but it does need a revolution, and I intend to be at the heart of it. So more comments. I have other things that I want to talk about, and I'm going to save one of them till Thursday about a new club, racing leagues, all that stuff. I'm going to talk about that Thursday because we're running over. I'll come back to comments in a minute. So a few other things we covered the Wild Atlantic Way auction results yesterday, the auction that happened in Dublin, the winner of the race of €2,000, and I was glad to see the original owner of the bird, bought his bird back. The ace pigeon fetched $2,800 with some major bargains there. There was a €50 pigeon, a €100 pigeon. As far as I'm concerned, any bird that flies first 30 after that hard race and training over there is worth getting. It was a good result. Just €20,000 was raised. I was on the Australian radio show earlier on. I'll be sharing that later on, and an interview talking about everything that's going on as well. I do want a I do want to just ask your opinions on one thing. I'll come back to comments in a little while before I do my little plugs. We're going to be running a variety of competitions at Racing Pigeon International over the next 3-4 months. I'm going to be working with other people to run the competitions for various things and promotions, but I want to do a Racing Pigeon International promotion and competition myself. I'm looking for thoughts and ideas of what people would like as prizes. A couple of thoughts off the top of my head I've got are merchandise, which we're going to be getting done. So things like these T-shirts, polo shirts, caps, pens, mugs, loft coats and what have you. So we can do that. We're launching our auction and sales platform, new platform next month. I thought we could offer a gift voucher to use against any birds that people buy. It can last for a couple of years, so people can choose when they want to use it to be able to either buy or contribute. So essentially credit on our system and as a gift voucher to be able to buy the bird of their choice on our new system launching. They're the kind of ideas I've got. I would like other ideas. If you've got more ideas, please let me know either here live or send me comments on the replay or private message me. I'm looking for good ideas for competitions that people would actually want to do and participate in. Okay, so last things first before I get comments. You will see that we had Aaron, our brand new first report for Racing Pigeon International, do his first gig yesterday over in Dublin for the auction. We are looking for more reporters. I cannot do all of this myself. My diary's already getting busy as anything, and I want to get more out there to more people. If you are interested in being a reporter, let me know. Send me a private message, comment, whatever. Get in touch with me. Let me know. We're not just looking for reports from the UK and Ireland, but we are looking for reporters worldwide. This is a worldwide plan over time. So if you're interested in that or know somebody that is interested in that, let me know. Right. Let's catch up with some more comments. Stephen O'Brien says Safe Haven Lofts have contacts in TV. John O'Brien says revolution will happen when the people come together. That's what I'm looking to achieve, John. Robbie says he'll be putting into one loft races now. Excellent. After seeing this is what I like. A roller guy is going to be putting birds into the Wild Atlantic one loft race. Excellent. Anthony said another upside, Mark, is you don't have to own pigeons and have a loft. You're going to get a lot of people buying from stud and partaking. Exactly, and that's what I want to do with the syndicate system. We'll figure it out. People will be able to enter the syndicate and have to worry about either enter the bird will get shipped or the birds will get shipped to the races. It's all done for you. Stephen O'Brien, free entries to one loft races. Stephen, it's coming. But it won't be my competition. That'll be other competitions for other maybe such things. But yeah, donations of young birds from top breeders would be nice. Okay, thank you very much, John. I'm sure this will pick up in the near future, Mark. If possible, would be fantastic through your contacts to be able to have an avian vet to speak about health prevention and treatment regarding pigeons. All right, mate. I'll see what I can do. Stephen O'Brien, will Jamie Kelly be a future reporter? Yes, he will. I've already spoken to him, and he will be starting around October time. And he already has people in mind that he wants to go and do loft visits for. So yeah, so let me know thoughts, competitions, ideas, whatever, as well. We are wrapping it up here soon. There's a competition comments. If you've got any more comments before we go, let me know. I'm going to do a little bit of push at various things now before we go. As I said a little bit earlier, my schedule is getting busier, folks. I'm doing increasingly a lot. If you would like to see where I'm at, where I'm going to be at, you can check it out there. I've just posted it in the comments, marklyford.com/schedule. Our new Facebook group It's just about to hit 1,600 members in less than a week. 5 days in, I think we are now. If you are not yet a member of the Facebook group, go and sign up to Facebook. Put it in the link, facebook.com/groups/Racing Pigeon International. 1,600 members already. It's busy in there. Next goal to get it to 2,000. Next goal after that will be 5, and the next goal will be 10,000. I want it to be a group for everybody. Everybody's welcome and be part of this revolution and nice place that we want to create. So if you haven't yet signed up and joined Racing Pigeon International group, go to Facebook.com/groups/Racing Pigeon International. While you're there on Facebook, please like our page, facebook.com/Racing Pigeon International as well. The last thing I need to push is this. We've been talking about birds of prey. We've been talking about initiatives to get new people involved. And part of the plan is the new PSF Foundation, the Pigeon Sport Future Foundation that we founded last week. I'm working on the website. If I've got time, I'm going to be doing that. Got bank account set up. We're going to be looking for members to be part of that and get that going. So we go and like Pigeon Sport Future so you can keep up to date with everything we're doing. Facebook.com/Pigeon Sport Future. That's it from me. Next week, we've got John Gant on talking about on-off races, and ultimately we'll have more. Thursday, not sure who's on yet. Right, let's catch up with the final comments before we go. Jamie's a good fancier with a lot of knowledge. Okay, Stephen. Yeah, like I say, we're on it, mate. Andy Pereira says, I have a few pairs of stock birds, white, but 70 white release birds. I know you do that as a little business, John. So he's entering the one-off race next year. I will sort a free tame out for Algarve race for next year. Do you mean that as a competition or generally? Morris, I'll speak to you afterwards, mate, but that would be great if we can figure something out. Great offer. Yeah, great, excellent. Soren Dudu, hello, mate. You came late to the party. Go and watch the replay afterwards. And Anthony says, fair play, Morris, great offer. Guys, that's it. We're just approaching an hour and a half, 9 minutes in. Been a busy show. We've had lots of people on. Thank you for watching. This is all part of what I love to do. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Please tell your friends about it. Please tell everybody you can, and let's get this going. It's the second show, and I'm enjoying doing it. I'm enjoying talking about all the different stuff that we've been talking about. And ultimately, you know, this show is not about me. It's about you guys. And this is the little baby steps of the revolution I'm talking about. Lots more to talk about on Thursday's show. And we'll catch you very soon. Be lucky. Have a good rest of your evening, or if you're watching this on replay, your day, morning, afternoon, what have you. As I say, please share it. Let's get as many people watching and aware of what we're trying to do here. And thank you to everybody that's watched. Be lucky. Have a great night and keep flying.